All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Max Farrell. This is Dex Trader. I don't even know what to call myself right at the moment. Amy, you there?
Yeah, I am.
What do we call ourselves, man?
Oh, I don't
I
even
guess
know.
we're just Our City Investments, really. Now, we have um, a lot of stuff to talk about tonight, and I have some special guests with us, and some people that if you're already here and you're listening in, maybe you're muted, maybe you're not, maybe you're watching this after the fact that we sent it to you because you're part of that group. I want you to know that what's about to happen with our company and this system is pretty revolutionary. Nobody's ever done this before in this type of scope. And what we're really proud of is that this really came down to just a handful of people making some decisions. It looks like we just got joined by Leo. How you doing, Leo? Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Welcome aboard, Leo. As people come in, I'm going to introduce them in. Leo has been a constant thorn in my side. No, I'm only kidding. He's been a admin individual who says, this is what I want, and I really do appreciate your patience as we're doing this. We also have Kurt on board too, another trusted individual who's been here for some time. And welcome aboard, Kurt. Brian Farrow's here, and myself. We're still waiting for others, but we're not waiting. We're going to keep going on because this thing's being recorded. This is a new system that we're using here called Zoom, which is a very powerful webinar and meeting system. So in these meetings, there'll be, if you have questions, please feel free as we go along to ask, okay? Because at this, and there's Jason, he's coming in now too, and once his mic gets set up, we'll introduce him. In these meetings, we're really looking for your feedback. One thing I had found for sure, and I've said this in other meetings, and I'll say this again, is that the concept of who Dex is and who we are is, one, we want to be and remain always transparent. And that transparency is very important to us because it's not just about being honest or upfront or what have you. It's also letting you know what's happening because I can show you. Okay, yes, I did mute you, Brian. So it's all good. But what this thing is about creating relationship. And that's really super important for us because if we can't create that relationship, then we're going to have a problem because you're not going to feel comfortable with telling us what's wrong with the company or if something's wrong or if something's broken. And we're not going to want to tell you when something's wrong either. So the first thing that we're going to try to do here, right? We're not even going to try. We're just going to do. We're going to build a relationship with you, which is very important to us. And how do we do that? By creating dialogue and communication. Looks like I got a few more people on. Jason, can you
How
hear
we
us?
doing, Max?
Jason, I'm doing great, buddy. How are you?
Great.
Great. Looks like we're getting Michael Buford on too. If you do, now folks, keep this in mind too. If you get any background noise, please feel free to know that I'm going to mute you. All right. I don't know if there's a chat room in this thing at all yet. We're still kind of working. Is there?
There's a little chat bubble at the bottom of your screen. It says Zoom group chat.
Okay. Zoom group chat. I just got to find out where that's at for me. I think I go here. Oh, there it is. Chats. Okay. Let me see if I can. System notification. No. And I do apologize, folks. We're still working out this system. Amy, do you see where that's at? If you could type something in it, maybe it'll pop up.
I did. And Jason's on it because he said hello. So I don't know how.
Okay. I don't know why I don't see it because a nut job. I don't know. Remote control, two more. Okay. There's chat.
You have like a bunch of big black boxes on your whiteboard as well. They're just showing up.
I do. Can you? Am I moving them out of the way? Can you see them move?
There's one that's right over. There you go. Now it's moving out of the way.
Okay. All right. So if you see anything, like if I mute you and you want to ask a question, please type in there and I'll try to keep that addressed to the system. It looks like it stays up pretty good. All right. As far as people go, looks like we got some more coming in. All right. So far, and you're going to hear Maggie, who is my big old bulldog sleeping under my desk, and she is a snorer. So I do apologize. Looks like we have Michael Buford on board too. Can you hear us, Michael? I unmuted you. It's okay. Or you can just type into the chat room, a little bubble down the bottom. There is chat in there too. I think you can also mute and unmute yourself. Even if I mute you, like I'm going to mute Amy, can you unmute yourself?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, good. That's good. So if I do mute you and you have to come out and ask a question, please feel free. This meeting here tonight is all about the stuff that we had sent you. This is the a few things that you should have gotten right away, which is access to the Dex Effects copy system, right? Now, in order to get that, does anybody have a problem with logging in to the site or the Simply? Because you're all Simply Forex, you should have all gotten that. Let me get over here and get to Dex Trader. Should have all been able to log in. And did you because you all got the email from the process. If there's anybody here who has not gotten the email, you can type that in chat or come out and say so now. Okay. So in your, can you all see my screen? Amy, somebody? Anybody?
Yep.
See my screen? Okay, good. The under the member portal, Simply Forex portal, you can go into there, or you can go to one of these. Because down at the end of your Simply Forex portal is a link to your training for Dex Effects copy. Eventually, I'll just have it all under Simply Forex portal, okay? Because it's that relationship we're building with you to train you in your own way of doing trades, as well as this service of the Dex Effects, which is costing you nothing. Anybody who's here tonight, this is costing you nothing to be here and to have this service turned on for you. And we'll talk about what charges and what things will happen from this point. But I want to give you opportunity to hear all this stuff out. But for you folks that have been here, and there's no out-of-pocket money that I want you to spend up front for any of this stuff. All right? It's not until you're making money in this system that, we'll then start talking about, what those fees are and how all that looks in the process. But I wanted you to hear this from us tonight on how it was going to play out, and that all of you that are here tonight are part of this service. And I can't thank you enough for those that have taken that, hang on one second, have taken that availability. Did I didn't delete somebody, did I? There you go. I'm muting you all just for a second. Is that I want to take this time to say thank you to all of you, because those that have been here, that have paid the system, you're the ones that helped me build the system that you're seeing inside. So if you go to the membership portal, you can click through that way, or you can go to Dex Effects Copy. Okay. Under this string too, there's a Dex Effects part of the process too. Here's the members area. I'm logged in as admin, so let me log out. So under the training, you're going to go through all the training. It's very, very simple to set up. I mean, stupidly simple to set up. If there's any problems whatsoever, please feel free, because I get turned around myself all the time. So don't feel like you have to, be an engineer to be able to do all this stuff. It can get a little confusing, but if you know that you have a relationship with us, call me on the phone. I can walk you through it blindfolded. All right. So the first thing is, as you guys know, you're going to walk yourself through is you're going to log in. Okay. And all this system has been built because of you folks here and our previous members, the people that have been and paid and have helped us get to this next level. You folks are the ones that are really responsible from this point on to help us test out and to get all the bugs out. So if you see issues, if you see problems, something's not setting up, something's not working, you got to let us know. All right. I don't want you suffering through things. Okay. I don't want you spending 4 or 5 hours trying to figure out where's my login details, right? Get a hold of us. That's what we're here for. Now, if you're doing that every day, I'm going to suggest you get a notebook to write them down. But the idea is that we don't want you to suffer through the process. All right. Your profile system in the back office, through all the training and everything, should be quite simple for you. If you just go through each one of the tabs, you're going to eventually see which ones are necessary. But the cool thing is that there's a lot of data here for you. As somebody who's receiving signals from us and receiving part of the copier service from us, you're going to see a lot of your data information in here, on how many trades were open, how much money you've made, right? What your accounts balance, what your profit margins are, all of it. Connecting the process is fairly easy using your MetaTrader 4 system. And then there's a process in here called setting your client variables. And there's a lot of detail back here. So don't feel too overwhelmed. Okay. Once again, I'm going to set up the beginning settings for you. And I'm going to sort of go over how all this will work here in a minute. All right. So all of this stuff that you see back here, even the signal providers that are made available, right now we're only using the one, the Dex FX 3000. The others are made available to me, but unfortunately not to you guys. Okay. But I'll explain again what they all mean here in just a moment. Let me get over to a whiteboard and I'll start drawing out what the details look. Okay. Let me clear this all out. Okay. But before I do, at this point, does anybody have any questions whatsoever? Anybody? All right. Good. If you do, after I mute you all again, please feel free to write it in chat. All right. So as we all know, making money in this industry blows. And I hate to be that blunt, but it does. 1 minute you can feel on top of the world, the next your account's blown out and you're wondering what the hell happened. Too many things get involved, right? There's timing, there's the process of actually knowing when to trade, there's that double guess. You get the greedy dragon kind of gets in there and tries to swallow your account. And we've all been there. You've all suffered through this crap. That's why you're here right now. You're trying to figure out something better, something easier, something simpler, something that has an availability, right, for you to make money. Now, one thing we learned immediately, and I sort of alluded to this in the beginning of this webinar, in the beginning of this meeting, is that we have to find a way to build a relationship with you, the customer. But it's no longer as a customer. Now, how do you view being a customer for any sort of organization, right? You pay your money, they give you said product. And that's the basically way it works. And you create an even balance of payment to product. Now, the worth of that product, and no matter what you're paying, 147, 299, whatever it is, it should always have a worth, right? That balance is you get the win from the product, we get the win from the money. And that's what it really comes down to. But now, once that happens, the relative of assessment then starts to come in. Was this product worth the 147 bucks? And that's what it really comes down to, is how do you build that relationship past just the one-time process of giving somebody a service or a product? It's constantly recurring. So if you have a recurring price, then you got to constantly be applying that, hey, this product is worth it every single month just by having it. It's worth the tools. It's worth the solution, right? In most cases, when you're dealing with companies that are training you in anything, the education can only take you so far. What do they have afterwards? Well, they have tools. They have, maybe connections, or contacts or any other process that you may have. And is that 147 worth it from that solution? In this reoccurring method, that product, whatever it might be, learning or training or an EA or a bot or whatever, still has to hold its original product value. Lastly, the idea of if something goes wrong, if the products don't, if the tools don't work, if the connections are worthless, how do we justify sort of a compensation for this process? Is to find you a pathway, or you got to go for a refund, or you just got to cut your losses and it's something you've learned through that solution. One thing we have found is that in order for us to build this relationship, we have to be on equal grounds at one point or another. It might be a little off point or off balance in the very beginning because you're paying money for us to teach you or give you a product, and you don't know a lot about that product or you can't really see the forest through the trees at the moment. where we're sort of enlightened, and from our perspective, it's working and it's showing working, and it's making money. So the trust has to be there. And how do you break down that value of trust is basically by being transparent, by being sincere, by caring for people's livelihood and their money. And that's what we've done. I've really gone to painstaking levels to not become just like any other company in this industry, ones that would just throw out any old bot for you to try to fix. If you noticed a couple of months ago, maybe some of you have noticed that we were showing our bot what we were building, what we were training, or what we were making, and it makes money. It does well. I could easily went out there and put it out there for $299 as a one-time fee. You've seen this out there before, right? You put it out there for a one-time fee, and you just tell them, there it is. You give them a couple of variables. Yeah, make sure that this particular variable in the back office is set to 1, and this one's set to 2, and that one's set to 3. And go ahead and trade with that. It works on the Euro USD and maybe the Great Britain Pound USD. You've seen this out there. Forex Fury and a handful of other companies are just like that. And they'll make you pay an amount. It's a one-time fee. And then you're stuck investigating the variables. You're stuck investigating what pairs it works, what time it works, if you got it even set up right. There's so many things that become involved. What we decided to do was to kind of alleviate this bullshit. And is there a setup fee for our process? Absolutely, but none of you folks are paying it tonight. It's all included. But we're eventually, you're going to see this out in the world. I'm sort of, I got a captive audience, but I sort of captured you guys just for a moment because I also want to practice this process not only for you, but for us as well. Remember, you guys are our comp people. You're the people that have already paid for Simply Forex, and I'm giving you this program as well. And what this is going to do is it's going to blow your mind, which I'm going to show you here in a moment. The process is going to cost $150 to most people that are going to come on board from this point on. And something that's never been done before in this kind of process. Our actual process is simple. We trade on our MetaTrader 4 network. We have a copier service system that we built, which you've seen, a Dex Effect copy. And when our system that we put a special signal EA on goes to the copier service, and then all of the participants that sign up for that signal provider, it copies those trades to. And it's that simple. If I buy the euro dollar on a sell for 0.01 of a lot, and you folks are traveling with me, okay, I buy that what we refer to as 1 unit. If I buy 0.01, a micro lot, your system, if it's set to a 1-to-1 multiplier, are also going to buy 0.01, 0.01, 0.01, and so forth. We have a special system in here. If you set at a multiplier at 2, guess what? It's going to be 0.02. If you have it set to 5, you're 0.05. If I'm doing 2 and you're set to 2, this will be 0.04. Does that make sense? Now, the cool thing about this is that the success rate, if I make $1,000 for the month here, if you're set to a 1-to-1, guess what you should have made? Pretty damn near close, right? Because there's always going to be a little bit of indifference between brokers, right? You might have a spreads a little different on, say, Forex.com compared to Trader's Way, or for another place, you might have more of a commission than the other. But you're going to be pretty damn near close, right? So let's just say it is that. Let's just say it is that $1,000, right? We have this opportunity now is that the risk or the amount that you've paid to be here, if you're paying that $150 for the first month, if you were paying $150 a month every month afterwards, hey, that would be great because you'd be straight in line. But what happens if you didn't come in the very beginning of the month? And what happens if, let me see if I can do this. And what happens if you maybe you got started in the end of the month and you only made $200? Well, that 150 is going to kind of blow out your entire amount you just made. So what we decided to do, instead of charging one flat rate fee, or and that's you always have it, or instead of charging, a per amount fee that's standard, $299 a month or what have you, because this thing can do very well. What we decided to do was do a percentage of 20%. Now, in most managed accounts, they do about 30% managed. Someone can do it lower. There's other companies that do it a lot lower for the bigger accounts and all that kind of stuff. But I'm telling you right now, 20% of a product could make you, even at just $1,000, paying us $200 so you could get $800. Is there anybody here who wouldn't take that deal? I'm going to unmute you, and any of you can answer at that point. Is there anybody here who would turn away $800 if they paid $200? And this is not in advance, by the way. This is only after you made the money. So I'm not going to say, hey, I can make you $1,000, pay me $200, and I'll make you $800. If you make $800, you pay me $200. If you make $100, you pay me $20.
I think that's fair.
Right?
I agree. That's awesome.
Is there anybody here who would say that that's too high or too bad? Or, anybody would like it lower. Of course, that means more money in your pocket. But as a system of not having to really do anything but monitor, is this a fair junket to say? Is this a fair amount to look at?
Yeah, I think it's fair given the lack of monitoring on the end user or the customer's point of view. Right. As long as you guys are monitoring it and it's performing, then it's back to that win-win scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a little bit stronger on your side of win than it is on mine. A true win-win would have been 50%. Right? Hey, I'll do all the work. You help me fund your money. I'll get in there and make you a whole bunch of money and we'll split it. Yeah, I've done that with customers before. I kid you not. I've managed companies where I've managed payment accounts and I've had the higher end rate, and I've set those higher end rates because our amount's so much. But let me throw something at you. For you folks in here too, by the way, it's only going to be 10 to 15%. And to some of you, I don't. Of course, Amy and Brian and myself, we don't have to pay anything because we're special. But there's going to be, this is, you're only going to be in this rate. I'm going to tell you right now, it's probably 10%. I think that's what we should get. Amy, do you have a problem with that? Making it 10% for these guys here on this line?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself, meeting pretzels.
That's okay. We're gonna make the people that came in and have been with us for a while, the ones that we've comped.
Yeah, the one that paid for Simply Forex.
The ones that have paid for Simply Forex are only going to pay 10% for this managed side of it.
That works for me.
And again, does anybody here think that that's unfair? It's okay if you do. I can completely understand. You don't have to sign up for the service. You don't have to you don't have to follow the trades. You don't have to do anything from this point. That's completely up to you. Now, again, how do you justify if you come on now, we set $1,000 into our one account, and it's so far this month has made $593, and I'll show you that here on the MyFX book. We have another account we put $200 in and it's made $33. There's another we have $5,000 in and it's made close to $400 or $500 as well. So there's many different levels of an account that you can actually get. Let me clear some of this stuff out of here so you can see. So the idea here is very simple. If you come in and let's say you get because you're gonna test out in demo, right? You're gonna test out in demo. You got a month to be able to do that. You're gonna test that out, but you really want to make sure we get all the bugs out, and you want to use us as much as possible to be able to help with that, right? If you're not seeing the trades come over or something's not happening, then you got to be on board with us, right? You got to let us know. This is about building that relationship, which means it's a two-way street between us, right? In order for you to make your money, you're going to want to have that availability of being able to talk to us, because we can always make you even more money. And I'll show you, because you've seen the multiplier system in there. So that's what it's really coming back down to, okay, is how much money we can make you is really off the hook here, because we're going to keep that same system of making money on there this entire time. And if we just set to the easiest levels of trading, the fair levels of trading, we're making $1,000 a month, okay, with a $1,000 account. And I know that's 100%, but don't think that if you put two, you're going to make two, because there's all these, let's throw all the disclaimers out there, right? but I'm going to show you the My Effects book, and I'm going to show you what to expect from the process. You can expect to have fluctuations of, a bigger drawdown of 10, maybe 15, maybe 20%. Maybe even if you're really pushing, you got lower accounts and you don't have your leverages set correctly, you can even do 30%, but you got to be careful, okay? Because there's a little bit of management that you got to do in there. And don't worry, we'll help you manage that. That's what we're setting the demo for, is to make sure you got all the tools set up correctly before we put one live penny on there, right? So as you go into that demo system, the process, whether or not you start with $200 in there and you're only making, let's say you make your first month live, you make only $50 or $100, right? Or if we just do it at the 100%, you could probably do $200 in your profit margin. That's okay, because guess what's going to happen? At your levels, at the 10%, you're only paying $20. And that $20, let's say that now you're at, let's say you took it out of your account. You went from having 400 to 380. That's okay. Because now the next month you got the same thing going, right? You should do between 50 and 100% on your account at that point. I think we're sitting at like 49% on our one account. So hey, I can't complain about those kind of numbers. But I'm not saying you're going to grow that every single month like that. You might grow 60% the next month or 30% the next. I don't think we're really going to falter any particular month because the testing and the back testing and the forward testing we've done, because we do it in three ways, right? Anytime you create a strategy or system, you should always back test. The next thing you should do is forward test, okay? And this is in demo. So that's demo, and this is demo. The last thing you should do is forward test live. And the reason why you forward test live is because this is where all the bullshit gets dropped off, right? Anybody can have a demo network out there and show you demo results, but have them show you a real privileged account that shows that it's a real live account and a third-party tracking system, and then tell me that, it's worth that $599 that you paid up front, right? So this is what it comes down to, folks, is that what you've learned so far is a very fair and even system. And the reason why we're doing this is because we're tired of the way this industry plays us. As myself, I've spent, I don't even know how much I've spent. Amy probably knows more how much I spent on systems and programs trying to find a real company out there that could supply us some sort of real bot. We got to a point where we had to make it ourselves. We couldn't wait anymore. We had to try to figure something out. And and Brian would probably know more than I would even on how many strategies and systems that I put through the ringer of back testing and forward testing. Thousands. Okay. Now, what does those fees get for you? What is that 10% or the 20% that goes to everybody else, right? What does that get for you as what are you getting for the manage? Well, you're getting the other 80%. So let's just tack that right on, right? You're getting the other 80% that's made. That's crazy sick. And what else you're getting is that money goes to us to help further myself and Brian and Amy. I'm not going to kid you. We get a percentage of that. But then a certain percentage goes back to the company. And what does that company do? What does our company do with that money? Well, it builds the servers. It keeps them going. But it also monitors the strategy, and it helps to decipher what pairs are doing best. It monitors the summary of the active strategy, okay? Monitors active strategy and builds secondary strategies and active strategies that we can apply onto our system. And let me show you what this means. In order to show you this, I sort of need to introduce you to one particular process called My Effects Book. And some of you may be aware of this. Maybe some of you are not. But it's a third-party system. Anybody unmute themselves? And Amy, can you see? Is my screen there? I always used to do this with the other system, whether people could see me. And I'm thinking that you can see it because it's telling me everybody can see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, great. So this is my effects book. And my effects book is let me see if I can do that. No, can I do that? Oh yeah, look at that. I can draw right on my effects book. Look at that. Ain't I super? Okay, so the My Effects book process is a third-party system that can be your best friend or your worst enemy. Why can it be your worst enemy? Well, because when you're looking for a bot system or an EA or something to trade for you, and somebody tries to show you to prove the process, let me tell you right now, folks, there are so many ways to cheat you. There are so many ways to rip you off and tell you to say, oh, no, this is a real account when it's not. If it doesn't have trading privileges verified and track record verified, and somebody's saying, oh, this is a real account, if it's not us, of course, we don't have verified accounts on all of our stuff because we're using different ways. There's two different ways to show your results. One's called the publisher, which this way series is, because we do that on our demo accounts. I don't want 50,000 connections going to our servers with our stuff. So, and I don't want anybody attaching to our demo accounts. So the live accounts are the only ones that I have on there that we care to do the actual verification on. Because you got to give them your password, you got to give them access to your accounts and all that stuff. We don't need that. This thing just raised up like 2% in the last couple seconds here, which is pretty cool. But let me show you a few things first from this system in here. So they could be your worst enemy because it will give you a false sense of security, basically, with some of these other companies. But why this program is so good for us, because when you combine it with our trading style, it gives us so much data. And that data is huge for us. Why? Because when I come down here and hit summary, I'm looking at the success rate of what pairs. Now this is the live account. So we were trading on this prior to, because some pairs didn't do good. We wouldn't use our live account as the summary. We would be using the Dex Effects 3000. That's it. Boots up here. Let me try it again. There we go. As the summary, as a $5,000 balance, it's sitting on a demo. Seeing all that information's up here, transparency. We hit the summary, and we could see, because this one's running unadulterated. It's running just at the straight levels. And you can kind of see it doesn't need much of a success rate to be profitable. And even though that you do get some, red lines in here. You got one right here, right? Positive in the pips, but negative in the money, because there's multiple different lines that we're doing. We're not just doing one micro lot on each one. But you take the good with the bad, as long as the overall profit amount are all positive, doesn't matter. The answer is no. Another thing to kind of look at, and this is where most companies start hiding their stuff, and you'll see this. We don't hide it. I show you. That's clear. We keep all of our open trades open to the market. And if people want to try to follow it, great. And you can see, listen, this thing is not, we're not about making things perfect, right? And this is not about being perfect or imperfect. These are not bad trades. These are what we refer to as bought in trades, which means that we got in at a level and we were hoping that it would go up in a buy, and maybe it came close and then it returned, got to a level, but we know with our leverage and our drawdown series, we don't get out of the trade, because most people would be just like, all right, get out of the trade here. But if your account can hold the balance of it, because remember, we implore you to follow our rules. When we say, if you're going to go into a live account, you're going to put a certain amount in, right? At a multiplier of 1-to-1, you want to have about $500 to $1,000. But you can increase the amount of leverage. Unless you're with Forex.com, you can only go to 1 to 50. So you want to have about a $2,000 account. If you're using Trader's Way or another company that we suggest, then you can use a higher leverage, which we'll explain more. You probably learned some about leverage in Simply Forex, so don't worry about it. But the idea here is that as if it goes against us, how far will we let it go? Well, sometimes pretty far. 79 pips you may think is a lot, but really it's only $8.17 in our world. Can it come back? Absolutely. And for the multiple parts of all this stuff, and for the higher percentage rate, it does come back for us. Because we know the market always comes back. The market doesn't make a 3,000 pip move. Okay? It has a level, and we know what those levels are. In fact, we've put take profits in that process. As you can kind of see, it's about 100 pips. Okay? And on the other side, it might be a little bit more. Okay? Because we're talking about almost 500 pips, but what does that come back around to be? Not very much. Now, that could increase our drawdown, but I'm not worried about that process. And if you have real trust in the system, and we've gotten it pretty high before on that process, but it always comes back. And sometimes it might come back to the middle of the road and we scalp out at a lower rate, and we just take it on our noggin, but that's okay. Because remember, this is about the one thing and the one thing only. And that's this. This series right here. Oh, if I could just get my mouse to do what it's supposed to. But this series right here is that profit margin. Now, could I have made more? Yeah, if I fought the system, I fought against it, if I tried to play the game, yeah, we could have made $700. But we don't have that for guarantee. Now, we know also that the process takes, and again, we're into the first month of the live trading in this solution with fresh accounts, with fresh eyes, with the process working on. Jason has a question. If you scalp out, does the copier system scalp out us as well? Absolutely. Every move the system makes, you make. And let me show you. Let me see if I have it. Can you guys see this? Amy, could you come out and tell me?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. So the trades that are here, this is my client EA. So I don't have much on it. Here's the account. Here's the master account that the system's trading on. Talk about transparency. You're seeing the nuts and bolts of the company right now. If I were to come in and get out of this particular trade, it would show throughout all of the trades of people that are following this particular signal provider. You understand? So there is a part of this solution. If I scalp out, it scalps out everything. But there's also a way to be able to follow our trades. I got to try to get out of this. Oops. Hang on one second. This little butter gets in the way. Oh, there we are. Do, and more, and more. Okay. I don't know how to move this thing out of the way. Oh, there we go. Figures. All right. Takes me a second. Remember, this system's brand new to me. All right. So at this particular time, there is a lot of information that's sitting behind the scenes as well, and within the network as well. Okay. So there's a lot of there's not a lot. This isn't that bad as far as training systems go. But learning how to do this, the couple of things that you have to do right away is, one, you're going to create yourself. You have a broker that you have a demo. Whether you're using Trader's Way or some other place, that's completely up to you. We don't take any money from any secondary company, from any primary trading network or brokership or anything else. We are solely out for our own process and nobody else's. We don't take affiliation. We don't take money. We don't take introduction broker. We'll never do that. We'll never take an affiliate from anybody, because the moment we do, the moment we start taking that process from another company, what will happen? you won't be able to trust us. There's a conflict of interest. Do you ever see these companies that are like, come on board. Here's the EA. Here's the bot. Oh, and by the way, you got to go get this broker account for $250. Once you do, we'll give you this free bot that'll trade on this system. Well, the broker and the introduction broker both have a conflict of interest because you're trading on the system. Guess what, folks? That's illegal. You can't teach people how to trade on the system that you're getting paid from. 90% of the people that go on there are going to lose their money. And guess what happens when they do? Where's all that money go? To the broker. Well, in our case, it doesn't, because we use only ECN accounts, which is electronic communication networks, through the brokers. This ensures that the broker doesn't get money. If I win money, he loses money. Or if I lose money, he wins that money. Instead, he gets paid a commission or a fee only. So he wants me to do a lot of trades, and we're going to do a lot of trades. All right. So we all know the numbers. We all know the process by following the directions in the back office. And you all know that you can call us, write us, Skype us, everything. In order to build this relationship even further, we're creating some things on board, a form that you'll fill out, a contact form, right? Now, the contact form is going to have, if you have Skype, if you have a preferred way of chatting, okay? In chat, there'll be a phone number. There'll be a process of Google chat. There's a Skype chat. There's all these different ways to get a hold of you, right? And there's a million ways to get a hold of us. So communication goes on both ways. And the biggest side of communication is really sitting on your level. Because if you stop communicating with us, especially around the time it comes to pay for the money we've made you, then you only get one shot. And I'm not trying to be a jerk. I really ain't. But there's only one shot. And I know, hey, shit happens. I get it. I'll pick up a phone, write us a thing, have somebody else call us, have somebody else write us a note, whatever. Because we want to make sure that we're not staring down the face of 40 people on the system and 5 of them are not communicating with us. I could have 5 other people in there who want to make money, who want to pay us and appreciate that process. So if something happens, it's not working out, or you don't have the time to even monitor it, or life just get too crazy in the way, you don't have the funds to trade live, completely okay. I will make this guarantee to you right now. If you got a bail out of this system ever, or something happens in your life, you can't even afford to do that, you should always be able to afford to pay the fees for the money we make you, because you can always just go withdraw them from the broker and pay us, and I'll accept that easily enough as an opportunity, because you're only drawing 20% of what you made for that month out to pay us, and that's fine. But if something comes up that you just can't do this anymore, or you got to pull all that money out, you got to go do something else, we completely understand. You can always come back, and we'll always try to keep a seat for you at the same prices you're in right now, as a promise to you guys, because you trusted us to be here, and you're trusting us now to help you through this process, as we're trusting you to do the same. So we're going to have a form for you to fill out, which will have all your information on it, which we will not share. We will not give to anybody else. None of the other members will have it. Only myself, Brian, or Amy will have it. And later on, maybe a manager, if you will, a dividends manager, or somebody like maybe Paul Davey, or another person that we trust within our network, not just some random person, will have any information to do with any of that. At this time, I'm going to unmute y'all. Anybody who wants to be unmuted, if you want to come out. If you have any questions, pretty sure some of you should have some questions. If not, then we can get moving on. Does anybody have any questions whatsoever?
Quick question, Max. This is Jason Hannig.
Yep.
Aside from just the pure business strategy, why go through this great length of trouble to help other people like ourselves? That's been a question that has driven me. There's so many ripoffs with the Forex and the binary options trading, but if you could share that with the group, I'm just kind of curious on that.
Sure. And it's a great question. And it's a question that's like, is this too good to be true? And the answer is yes, it is too good to be true. It's too good to be true from any point of view other than, because if you're not thinking that, then you haven't been touched in this world. If you trust me because you've heard what I've said and you believe in me and you've been with me through the thing, you already know what the answer is. It's because I was hurt so bad. You don't understand. I had built a little mini empire. I was in radio, right? I had OCR, Our City Radio. And Our City Radio had 2,700 people working for it. 2,700. We were building a network solution for internet radio and independent music artists throughout the world. We were making okay money, and we were building money packets and systems for other people to get their dream of building radio networks for themselves. And so we had this abundance of money and investment money. We had people who were investing in our dream. And I saved up personally about 115K. And I said to myself, and I gathered other friends, and I said, what do you want to do with this extra money we have? We should invest it. We should put it someplace. And somebody brought to my attention binaries. Binary options. Kid you not. This is 5 years ago. And in binary options, we had this opportunity. And so I met this overseas company. And this overseas company, they just seen me coming. They heard that I was a programmer. They had me programming solutions. They had me programming all this thing. And man, guess where this $115,000 went? Right in the freaking toilet. It took me a year just to get over the fact. I mean, I was irate. I wanted to kill people. I tried everything in my power to get all of my money back, but nothing worked. I didn't get 1 cent back because there was these rules and regulations for that process. So what happened to OCR? It failed. It failed because I spent so much time trying to get our money back that it all started to fall apart. My investors were pissed because we lost the money. My friends and family were pissed because I lost their money. And I thought everything that I went through, we needed to build a system that was going to work. We built Dex Signals, we built Dex Trader, we built Dex Indicators, and they all work at a level for some people, not everybody, but those people it does work for, we never hear from. They just keep paying and they keep showing us that this money's made. We then started to go out and try to find bots and trading systems and everything else, anything that would trade for us, because we're busy people too. We want to build these empires. And what happened, and this is why I'm sorry it's such a long answer, is that I started to find these companies that are like, yeah, pay me my $299, or pay me my $500, or pay me my $1,600 for my bot. I've seen ones out there for $3,000 or $4,000. Go, you guys?
Yeah.
I've seen systems out there that were outrageous. I've seen people that are like, let me manage your money for 30%. Pay me 30% up front after I make you the money on this broker that I introduce you to. Guess what? I'm never going to see that money. So somebody asked me a couple of months ago, you got to find a different way, because nobody wants to pay for it up front. There's always this proving stuff, right? So I'm willing to go through this process, but let me show you what it looks like for me and why this is a smart move for me, because you're investing your time. Your $150 is investing in me. Well, for you guys, no, right? You've invested $299, some of you nothing at all, and you're here because I trust you and I want to see some response from you. Your work's still to come, right? But for the average person that's coming on, it's $150, right? But this is just a setup fee. This is nothing. This is a spit in the bucket. I don't even care about it. It's a lost leader for me. If I got to do $300 worth of work, that's okay. I don't care. And if I stay true to my promise and I make my own account just $1,000, remember, this $1,000 I'm making is real fucking money. I'm making that money already. I'm making myself $1,000 a month just sitting here, not doing nothing, just letting it do its thing. Well, I am doing something. I'm maintaining that strategy, that summary, that process. I'm putting on pairs and taking off pairs, and I'm paying attention to that, right? But this is the average that I'm going to be making. I'm already making that. That's fine. And if I copy that out and each one of you make 1,000, then what am I doing? I'm making, there's 14 of you that we're doing this with. I'm making 14 times however much is made at that point at 10%. So it would be 100, right? Eventually, once you guys say, hey, I want to go to a multiplier of 2, great. Guess what? Now you're going to 2,000. Guess what? I go there right there with you.
Perfect.
So Why am I doing this from a business strategy? Why the fuck not? For what? I'm sitting here with an empty source of process. Why wouldn't I do it? So the question really does come back down, not just why would I do it, but why haven't I done it sooner? Because it scares the shit out of people, because you have to invest your time and energy prior to, and you have to put all your eggs. What happens if I have a bad month? What happens if I do go into negative? Guess what? We're not going to get any money, neither are you, but we're not going to get any money. God forbid we lose any money. Trust me, the process here for if any one pair or any sort of thing gets too inflated, I start shutting shit down and I start turning stuff down. And then we slowly do an incremental crawl with some of our other slower products to get those monies back up again. So it's not like flash bang, $7,000 is missing, right? Unless you got a higher bank account doing all that stuff, right? But there's not going to be 20, 30, 40% missing out of your account the next morning. These are things that we're watching like a hawk all day long. And there's not just me. There's Brian, there's Amy, and there's two other what we call trade managers that are watching this process. Some of you guys have seen some other. Did I answer your question, Jason? I know it was very long and inundating. But.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. For me, that was important to hear, and I don't know if there's anybody else that hadn't quite got 100% up to speed with your history. So thank you, Max.
Right, you're welcome. The idea here too is that I've been enriched because I've been able to work with, make money, because I make money in I was making money in Nadex, and I switched over to Forex. And the $1,000 that you see here, this is nothing, really. Okay, this is just a small time little account we put together in the process to kind of show that solution, right? So we just kind of put this together to make it real for us to be making money every single day. You know, I have other accounts and other things that I won't show you that I'm making money because I'm not, unless I physically go there, because they're my manual systems, right? They're the trades that I pick out. Now, eventually, one time or another, I will probably make that available as a trading system that I go and trade. But that's where you got the big pants on. You're putting $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 into the process. Michael Buford asked a question, and I think he left. And I hope you watched the recording after, Michael, if you're watching this. What's the minimum we need to get started with? As far as a live account, legally, I'm not allowed to tell you, hey, you need to start with a certain amount. But what I can say is that, I got to find a way to kind of dress it around, is that an average, what most people could start with is that for where we're at on our one-to-one is that we started out with $1,000, right? And our account on a 1 to 300 leverage process would never break down past 20% leverage of our account, right? So it would never break down. Most brokers will stop loss you out at 70% of your margin levels, right? If you don't know what any of that means, don't worry about it. Okay, there'll be more training on that process later. But with a 1 to 300 process in there, you don't want to go too much more than this because your swap fees will kill you if it goes over a day period. But with this, you'll never break down below $200 on that margin level, which is good because that'll keep your margin strong. And you can continue on with that process. So your first month, if you go through, if you make the $1,000, you're at that point. If you got to start with less, okay, 500, I wouldn't do anything less than 250. You got to start with 500 to 250. You're going to want to do a series, what we call the lot adjustment. Let me see if I can add a new share, do the desktop. Okay. The lot adjustment is very simple. In the back office of your system, under your global settings, you could say it says follow local settings or fixed lot size. You would simply do 0.01 and do something like that and hit save. What this will do is for every trade that comes over, is this the one? One of these is the one. Okay, here it is. This is an account that's following the trades being done, but doing it on what we call a lot limiter, right? So that lot limiter, hang on one second. has, because it's come back, we were down to 158 because this is a different account. But here, let me show you what it's made. Custom, because we just put it on, I'd say 2 days, but we're going to call it for today just so you can see what it looks like. We didn't do any trades today. Well, because it's a new day, that's why. Custom, let's do the last 3 days. Okay. All right, so here from this point on, it has made money. It's made like $35 more than what we put it on. So let me see if I can find the Dex Effects Live. I gotta log out. Sign out. Let me go into the Max Fair one. Oh wait, Max Fair one's on here. Here we go. Here's the performance page. So this is the one that has the minimal amount on it. Oh wait, crap, no it's not. I'll find it and get it in here and you'll be able to see that. But the lot limiter works really, really well because it for every one lot that I do, where you're only using a micro lot. So as many trades as it's going out, if you do lose, you're only losing 10 cents instead of $1 or $10. If we're using only, it's going to be only lose 20 cents. But still, it shouldn't break down past a 20% margin level in any of your stuff in that process. So you should be able to withstand that. And you can always increase the amount on the lot or eventually go to a one-to-one follow ratio. So that should be, really easy to follow once we start telling everybody exactly how to use the tools that are inside the system. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
All right. Does anybody else have any other questions? Is there anything else that we need to discuss or talk about this evening? All right. So here's the last little thing, and then I'll let you guys off the hook here. The process that you're going to do from this point on is that make sure you get logged in on the pages. If you're unsure, go to the chat room on the site to get logged, to ask them where do you log in. Follow, there is a, up in the Dex Trader side, let me do this, do desktop. Right here under Simply Forex, in your own Simply Forex system, where you can click Dex Effects Copy, log in, and make sure that you get your training on where to go and how to set everything up, right? Everything is right here in the back office on getting it downloaded and all that. If you have any problems, normally I would say go fill in a consult, but I'm not going to be available for the consult side until after Christmas. But if you really get into a jam, you want to figure it out, or you have something happen, pick up the phone and call me, all right? But don't sweat so much that if you can't get it all on, you're missing profit and all that kind of stuff. Because your first week or so, you're going to be in demo. And that's the next thing you really have to do after you get in there and start doing the training is get your demo account set up, get your MetaTrader 4 on board, and then get your MyFX book stuff attached to it. If you have any problem with that whatsoever, just for you guys that are on board, I want you to shoot me an email. You have my email. I want to either go build it for you, go put it on for you, do a remote access where I can go in and put it all on your computer, whatever it is. But you also will have to make sure that your computer is on at all times. If you need a VPS or you need some sort of other solution in there, don't worry, we'll get you covered. We have some room on one of our VPSs to be able to put you on as well for that solution. So we'll take care of it. All right? All right. At this time, I want to thank you all for joining me tonight. I know this got a little bit all over the place because I'm working with a new system, but I appreciate your patience, and I look forward to being able to working with all of you. You guys have a great evening, and I hope to see you all in the next one. And, of course, trade well.